OpenAI just released their new O3 series for ChatGPT. We now have models available today that we can start using and testing. So we're going to dive in, take a look at some of the updates, and we're going to give it a couple of prompts in order to test it out. By the way, if you love AI and you want to keep this discussion going after the video about O3-mini series, things like DeepSeek and other tools, then I highly recommend joining my free AI community, which I'll leave in the description and top pinned comment below. Let's check out O3. So let's take a look at this OpenAI O3-mini model series. So right off the bat, OpenAI starts this by saying that O3-mini is the newest, most cost-efficient model in their reasoning series, available in both ChatGPT and the API today. So it's stronger in things like science, math, and coding. It costs less and takes less time than OpenAI O1-mini. That's very cool. It says OpenAI O3 is our first small reasoning model that supports highly requested developer features like function calling, structured outputs, and developer messages, making it production ready out of the gate. For developers, this is huge. Now here I think it's interesting. It says developers can choose between 3 reasoning effort options: low, medium, and high. And this is going to allow you to optimize for your specific use case. It allows O3-mini to think harder when tackling complex challenges or prioritize speed when the latency is a concern. They did some evaluations by expert testers, and it says the testers preferred O3-mini's responses to O1-mini 56% of the time and observed a 39% reduction in major errors on difficult real-world questions. Here's how it's performing in the competition math benchmark. As you can see, O3-mini High actually scored 87.3 compared to even the O1 model, which is their general broad reasoning model for accuracy, and that got an 83.3 on the competition math. So even the mini series in O3 is outperforming the main series of O1. And PhD level science questions, O3-mini High is outperforming O1 and O1 Preview as well. Not by a lot, but it still is outperforming those. And this is just a mini model. Keep that in mind. They haven't released just the regular O3 yet. And then in competition code, pretty much every one of these O3 models are scoring above all the O1 series, not even just compared to the mini series, but O3-mini Low is still behind the regular O1 model, but both of the other medium and high models for O3-mini are scoring better in coding benchmarks than the regular O1 model. And right here it says, in A/B testing, O3-mini delivered responses 24% faster than O1-mini with an average response time of 7.7 seconds compared to 10.16 seconds. So as you can see, the latency from O3-mini to O1-mini is actually 24% faster, which is cool because it's also scoring higher in the benchmarks. So not only is it faster, but it's also smarter as well. It says O3-mini is pushing the boundaries of cost-effective intelligence by OpenAI, and they're definitely needing cost-effective intelligence with DeepSeek on the horizon and how cost-effective that is. They definitely need this. But it says this model continues to track our record of driving down the cost of intelligence, reducing per token pricing by 95% since launching GPT-4, while maintaining top-tier reasoning capabilities. So within our model selector, we have new options. We have O3-mini and then O3-mini High. And it says this is fast at advanced reasoning, and O3-mini High is just great at coding and logic. With both of these, I want you to notice that you can search the web, which is very cool, because in O1, you can't even search the web. And we saw that this model, O3-mini High, was actually scoring better on the benchmarks. Now, you can't attach files yet, but it is kind of cool that you can search the web and have live search with O3-mini High and just regular O3-mini. So let me go to O3-mini and let me try scraping something. Maybe I'll just say scrape the N8N documentation and tell me everything I need to know about the HTTP request node. Now, when you're doing something like building agents in an application like Make or N8N, or whatever you're doing, it's really good to have documentation and an advanced reasoning model all at the same time. Like being able to search for live, what is this application all about when you're building something. So the fact that we have a high reasoning model within the ChatGPT interface that has the ability to search. Usually if I'm building like an automation on N8N, I would go to Perplexity if I ever had a question because it has that live data, and O1 did not. So now we have O3-mini with search available. So let me try scraping some documentation to see if I can get some information about a certain node. I'm going to send that off. and it thought for a second. I mean, that was pretty quick. And I believe we're going to be able to click in here. It's still reasoning, I guess, but we can click in here and we can see what it's doing behind my head here and actually watch it live. So now it's getting a comprehensive summary of everything I need to know about the HTTP request node in N8N as documented in the N8N docs. So keep in mind, this reasoning model is going to be able to help you with these problems a lot more. And it's giving me pretty much, everything that the documentation says about it within N8N. So this is like a live website of an N8N documentation. And I think it's really cool that we can now bring this in with an advanced reasoning model, and we don't have to use something like GPT-4o, right? We can actually use one of these top tier models that outperform o1 in some cases. Because within your prompts, like context is everything. So being able to have a model that can reason at such a high level and be able to pull in context from anywhere on the internet, that is massive. So next, let's use the o3-mini high model, which says it's great at coding and logic, along with search activated. And what I want to do is I want to create an automation in N8N where it pulls information from my Aura ring about my activity data. So I have this ring that tracks my activity all day long. And what I do know is this data, when I do pull it into N8N, is it's not structured in the way that I want it to be. So let's see if it can actually write us code in order to structure it into a JSON-like format, the exact way that I need it. And let's see how long it takes for it to solve this problem for me. So as I was saying, in this software, N8N, I'm building an automation that can track all of my activity, and I want to store all of this activity within a JSON file in my Google Drive. That way I can chart it later down the line. But as you can see, this is how the data is coming in right now, and I want to be able to extract all of this and then put it into a JSON file, but I want it structured in a certain way. Right now it's structured, all over the place. There's thousands of lines of JSON here. Well, not thousands, but around 1,500. So I want to see what can I do with this data for if I do have it in my Google Drive in a JSON file. And also, can it create me code in order to accomplish this? So we are going to push this model to its limits. We're currently on the GPT o3-mini high, and I've typed out a massive prompt and given it so many actions to complete. Let's see if it can help us with our actual real-world automation coding problem. Because again, I don't know how to code, but I love using large language models along with search functionality, and I'm very excited to see how this helps out, because if we have something that can code for us and it can consistently, quickly get things right for you, then that's very powerful, especially for low code, no code people. But if you are a programmer, then this is just going to be for speed at this point, right? If you know how to ask the right questions, give the right context, then obviously it's going to be a lot more helpful. But let's take a look at my prompt that we're going to test out. I say, I am creating an automation in N8N that transforms my Aura ring data. Remember, my Aura ring is that thing that tracks my activity and my sleep from activities into daily JSON files in order to query with a RAG system later down the road. So eventually I'm going to upload all my activity data to a RAG database. I'm already in the process of doing that with my sleep. And I want to be able to talk to a chatbot about, what was my heart rate at this time of day? Or what was my heart rate at 2:34 last night? I'm going to be able to do that with all of this. So I say, I want this data for each day. I'm also creating JSON files for my Google Drive in order to chart and graph these stats as well. So a lot of things already going on. I say, I want you to do a couple of things. And here's where I'm really going to test the reasoning of this model. I say, first, review the Aura ring documentation. And this is the beautiful thing about having it be able to search the web, is you can tell it to review certain documentation for you that it's going to need as context. And then I gave the link to that Aura ring cloud documentation. And then I say, in order to see how activity data is structured and what each piece of data means that is coming in. So I wanted to see within the documentation, okay, how is this data actually coming in? Is it useful? Does it matter? And step number 2, I say, review the N8N code node documentation. And then I give a link to what that is. That looks like this. So within N8N, this automation software, you have different pieces you can put together. And within their documentation, they explain how those pieces link together. So I want it to review this documentation because not only is that going to give it more context into my problem, but it's also going to give me up-to-date It's also going to give it up-to-date information on how to help me solve my problem, right? So I said review that in order to understand how to use this node to transform my current data into structured JSON data. And then I say step 3, review the current structure of data being pulled in with my workflow that I just uploaded. Step 4, so I'm giving a ton of different steps. Give me suggestions for flattened JSON files that I can create from activity that would allow for cool graphs with met minutes. So met minutes are just like activity minutes. Every 5 minutes, it tracks what your activity levels are with the Aura Ring. So I gave that as an example. And any other things that I could create insightful graphs from with JSON files later down the line. Then I give one last step. I say, give me the code I need in order to capture full raw JSON data organized nicely that goes from my set node. So I'm giving it context into the labels of my nodes. In N8N, this is called a set node. You basically can pull in data and then give it a name here. So I'm basically pulling in all of my Aura Ring activity and then just labeling it Aura data. So it's in a nice array in order for the code node to better use it. So I'm telling it to, I'm giving it context into what type of node I am using. Each one of these boxes are called a node. And then I say, here's how the data is coming into the code node. So with this outputs certain data. As you can see over here on the right, it outputs data that looks like this. So, and it's, like we said, 1,500 lines long or more. So what we want to be able to do is pull in that data to that code node and then have it get into some more structured JSON data that we can then download and convert into binary. So I give it that entire structure, okay? And it's super long. You can see my scroll bar, how long this prompt is and how much context and things I've given it over here on the side. But then at the very end here, I just say, complete all of my steps in order to help me out. So with all that being said, I think I can send this off. And remember, the JSON that I uploaded, although it just has a lot of these little numbers, it's still 1,500 lines of JSON data that's raw. So let's see how it does with this. I'm going to send this off. I'm going to go down. Let's see if it's reasoning through this. It looks like it is. If we click over here, we can see all of its thought process that's actually going into it. It's enhancing the JSON structure, crafting the code already. So it's very cool what this thing can do. Hopefully it works. I'm interested to see, does it actually work? And even more interesting than the code, I'm interested to see what type of ideas is this thing going to give me? Because remember, up here, if I can get to the top of my prompt, I asked to give me suggestions for flattened JSON files I can create from activity. So as you can see, it's going to work in here. It's really thinking through before it gives me an answer. Look at all these things it's thinking about over here on the right-hand side of my screen. So I'm interested in suggestions, right? What is it going to interpret from my data? Okay, so it gave me an answer. It only had to think for 13 seconds, but it thought about quite a bit of different things over here. I can close that. It says, overview of the Aura Ring activity data. And then it says, according to the Aura API documentation, it kind of goes into each one of the fields that I could pull in. So this is good because if it's typing this out and telling me this, it understands it itself, right? It's using this as context now. So it knows all of the little parameters that go into making up activity data. It covers the N8N code node capabilities. It knows which node I'm trying to use, and it's referencing the documentation right here. And then it does an analysis of my current data structure. It says your activity raw node outputs data that looks like this. And then this is what I was most excited about. It gives me suggestions for flattened JSON files. It says for insightful visualizations, you might want to create a daily summary JSON that flattens the data. For example, a flattened JSON could include metrics such as score, steps, activity calories, target meters, date and timestamp, activity breakdown, and then contributors. These are the things that I'm really interested in. And then it gives me different kind of graphs I could create with my data. I gave it the context of my data, and now it's saying it's giving me all these suggestions of different graphs I can create, and it understands which type of metrics I can pull in with the documentation that I told it to search. And then it gives me the code right here that I can use in order to get all of these files that I need. So I'm just going to try this out. This is going to give me the full raw all activity data. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to head back to N8N. Then I'm going to upload a code node. So I'm going to type in code. And now I'm just going to connect it. Well, it's already connected, which is good. And now within this code right here, I can just paste this in. Let's see if this works. Now, it's not much, but like, instead of trying to figure all this out myself, I just upload what my data looks like, tell it what I want it to do. It gives me suggestions for what I could do. And it would be cool if this worked and output more structured JSON. So let's see if it does. I'm going to hit test step and let's see if it works. Beautiful. It looks like it worked first try. And usually it's not like that. You know, usually I've got to iterate. I've got to go through multiple different errors and it doesn't actually output my data how I want it to. But now it's giving me the full raw data organized by day. So it's really organizing and structuring my data the exact way that I want. This is beautiful. So now I could even come in here. I could, you know, convert this file to an actual JSON. And that's easy because now that I have the data all mapped in here, that's all I've got to do is just map it to the code node. And so now if I test this step, it's going to convert that into a JSON file, which I could then upload very easily to my Google Drive. So this has been an example of using the o3-mini model in action for a problem that I was just about to go through and actually use o1 for. I actually had the o1 model selected, and then I got a notification that said o3-mini was available. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, kind of covering the update. If you want to stay connected and you want to ask me questions about O3, you want to chat about O3 together, then I recommend joining our free AI community, AI Pioneers. Now, AI Pioneers is a place where you can just come chat about AI with other people. We have 36 people online right now, over 3,400 members in the group, and it's kind of just a fun spot to be about AI, you know? We have people hiring in here. We have people just talking, uploading valuable content. So great opportunity to network with people, give your own advice, ask questions. You can go to the classroom. We have all of our YouTube videos in here with a 10-module AI course as well. So if you love AI and you want to be with a group of people who also love it, AI Pioneers is the spot to be. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video with O3. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.